All right, we are live. Get a sip of water here, get my radio voice going. These usually fill up pretty quick. People come in, questions come in relatively quickly on these. So I'll wait a minute, let people flow in. Uh, Again, you guys know the rules, no nonsense. I'm not going to put up with it. And if I clear stuff out, I'm going to try not to say anything. And I'm going to ask you guys not to comment on, whatever you see me remove. Be polite to me and I will be polite back to you. That's going to be the rules. And expect everyone to be respectful and polite. And again, let's get in and help people with their questions. Help people out. People have questions. They want to know things about training, about nutrition, other stuff. Let's stick to that. Okay. Unless it's pertinent, relevant topics. How's my day going? Pretty good. A pretty hard training session. If you saw the vlog, hit a deficit deadlift rep PR. Had a little bit of issues with the cambered bar slipping on my traps when trying to do good mornings. Still felt like I got a good stimulus from that, but yeah, I'm going to have to deal with the sweat issue and the heat. Keeping in mind we're having a ridiculous heat wave right now. I mean, I'm down to training in just shorts. I've even lost the shoes and socks, and my floor is just dripping with sweat by the time I'm done with those workouts. But the training was good today. Actually, training was good yesterday also. The extra carbs definitely helped. Been the interesting thing for me is again, right now I feel like I'm just force feeding carbs, and I feel like I'm actually getting leaner a little bit in spite of that. It's almost difficult to get enough carbs in to really recover and train the way I want right now. Like my energy turnover is so high. Do you usually like training in the mornings? Yeah, I had shifted over to late morning to about noonish for a while, but it's just too hot. Good guy, you really got to stop with your weird stuff in here, brother. I mean, you're starting to get pretty trolly at this point because you know that your dad didn't tell you that. You've already said that you don't really have a father figure in your life. So, make up your mind, which is it? I'm gonna be very nice to you, but you're not going to be posting in these things much longer if you can't stop trolling. Okay? All right. Because I promise you, your dad didn't tell you that. Didn't you say you don't even have a dad? I mean, make up your mind, bro. Come on. All right. Let's get rid of the trolling. How's the guitar going, brother? Well, I put up some stuff yesterday. Clint Darden chimed in on that because he's been really supportive. Some other lifters in the community, we have some chats going back and forth. I put up a clip yesterday. And if you guys caught that song, actually, a few people caught that so far that I did it the hard way. I did finger picking for the intro to that song. I was kind of getting into it. I know it's a really slow song that I did yesterday, but I was kind of feeling it. I was digging it. Hey, Jason, is it possible to replace the bench press with pec flies and still grow a nice chest? Why would you want to? Okay. Is it advisable to push your training session into the late evenings if you're feeling tired during the day? It's possible. Ron, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I've kind of built into what I want to do and want to be. So, like, your question doesn't make any sense, right? But back to the other point, why would you want to use pec flies for that? Like, why wouldn't you want to bench press? Like, there's no benefit to going over to a fly. It probably would build about the same chest, but I mean, you're missing all the other benefits of benching. Like, why are you going to try to use single joint movements as primary builders? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, Charles, I agree. Good guy should probably go to therapy rather than use my live streams for his therapy. He's kind of made that clear, and I think that's great advice. And that's not belittling or picking on you. It sounds like you probably need to go to therapy. I've done therapy. I've admitted to it. Any plans to compete soon? I'm not going to discuss that, which I've told you before, Darko. Right? Told you guys in all of these. Okay. Do you feel size equals strength? Well, it's not a matter of opinion. What do you mean, Phil? There's no opinion to be had there. We know that hypertrophy raises your strength ceiling, right? This is a exercise science fact. Thoughts on Pendlay rows? I program barbell rows all the time. Pendlay row and a barbell row are the exact same thing, by the way. There are two names for the exact same identical lift. I program them all the time. Is a lot of sets of one a good for muscles or strength? I don't usually recommend that these days. What's the maximum healthy level of body fat someone can train recreationally for strength should reach? I don't know. I have an epiphany with the bench. On one end, it looks like we can get rid of the bench and take better care of our shoulder joints, but you're missing out the arm development. Why would you think that it's better for your shoulder health? If benching is going to hurt your shoulders, and so will flies. The only reason your shoulders get hurt on bench is gripping the bar incorrectly, generally. Bad bar path, gripping the bar incorrectly, Those are usually what's causing it, or overuse. Lyle, you guys already know that. I don't discuss it because of all the nonsense that's out there. So again, it avoids venues and people being harassed. Okay. Would you consider adding a cable pulley system to your rack? Not really. I think they're kind of junk, to be honest. Any reason to think standing leg curls are better than lying or seated? Lying leg curls have a lot of active insufficiency. Standing is probably the most effective out of them. I've gained a few pounds over the past few weeks when I'm progressing on bench. Hit 8 singles over 350, almost at 360 today. Hit a ton of set of 10 or so at 295 touch and go. Okay, is that a question? Hey, Jason, hope you're doing well. Thanks for the information. Keep making a positive difference. You're welcome. Kay Singh, thank you for the donation. Let me hop to your question first. Would you recommend RDLs for max effort work? I have programmed them for max effort work for clients. If you need extra pulling variations, they actually worked. Jason saw your latest pics. You look jacked. How can people think you were small at 5'9", 225 with abs? Insane. Well, it's the internet, Darko. Unless you look like Mike O'Hearn, you don't even look like you lift. Like, he's what the average natural should look like on the internet. Like natural. Like, if you use gear, you better be bigger and leaner than Mike O'Hearn. But he is according to the internet, that is the average drug-free lifter should look exactly like Mike O'Hearn, right? So, that's the standard. Do chest flies have their use when they're pointless? I have never programmed chest flies for any of my clients ever. Is mental and physical burnout from excessive lifts a thing? Yes, it is. A Blaha client. If you watch my work, you already know that I have videos up about how to bench correctly and how to stack your wrist, all of those things. It's all on my channel. Hi, my friend. It's me again now at work watching and never listen to me. Can you explain why main gaining is not optimal? Because you generally are going to need to gain weight to gain muscle. Okay. And I don't know what's been changed, but he used to talk about main gaining being staying at the same weight. So let me put it to you this way. if get rid of these people. If you are 150 pounds and you want to get bigger, you're going to have to go above 150 pounds, right? Also, let's say you're 200 pounds and overweight. You're not going to recomp at 200 for your whole life, okay? Sooner or later, you're going to have to go into a calorie surplus to gain muscle. But I mean, it's the same thing. A guy who's 150 pounds will never get big if he stays at 150 pounds. That's the problem with the original main gaining. Jason, I get in a better groove and get a good slingshot effect on the closed grip bench as opposed to wide grip. Why is that? It's just your structure. A lot of people are faster off the chest on closed grip. I have a really weak core, and I think it's limiting my deadlifts and squat. What exercise do you recommend to have a strong core? I'd start with hanging leg raises or weighting crunches. There we go. Mike V, who is assuming it's the former client Mike, who we had blogs with. Yeah, chest flies equals no benefit. I just don't see the point. Do you think you could pass the military PT physical standards easily? I have no idea. I don't even know what they are. I have no idea what the military PT fitness standard is, so I can't answer the question. For RDO work, do you recommend fully locking out on each rep? I mean, yeah, generally. I don't see why you wouldn't. Are machine presses any good? Do you prescribe them for clients? I've never tried them. They can be. I don't prescribe them generally. I mean, but they could have their uses. If certain accessories don't cause overuse issues, even when done long-term, can they be done indefinitely or should they eventually be rotated out? I mean, in theory, they could be done indefinitely. I do reverse hypers indefinitely. I don't feel there's an overuse risk from that, particularly due to the restorative nature of the exercise. All right. Can I do true 1 rep max deadlifts every day and not get snapped up? No, absolutely not. You will bury yourself. I've seen some fit fluencers not fully extend on RDL, supposedly to keep the tension on the glutes. I don't feel like it does hold water. Yeah, be careful of of fit fluencers in general. If I have a history of low back issues, is it smart to wear a deadlift for heavy? You probably mean wear a belt. You should probably wear a belt anyways. Right? You can usually lift more weights. And I'm very aware that, some of us don't get much out of a belt. I lose very little taking a belt off. I think it's just better for overall recovery, better overall strength to wear a belt most of the time on deadlifting. It's just a good idea. Hey, coach, what are some cues or tips for initiating better leg drive on bench press? Do you prefer feet in, close out, or wide? I think as far as foot placement, that is very much based upon you as an individual and what you're comfortable with. I prefer heels down to fairly close if you watch my benching. Most of your leg drive comes from just getting tight. If you get tight and you sink the bar a little bit, you will have leg drive subconsciously without even trying. You will not have to learn it. It will just happen by default if you do those things. So if you want to learn to leg drive without thinking, get super tight and sink the bar. Sink the bar at the bottom when you pause. Greg Doucette always thinks bulking means getting fat. He always tells his audience that they don't have abs, they're fat. Well, again, he's causing body dysmorphia. Seems like back issues have a lot to do with mobility of the hips from my experience. I think back issues come from weak hamstrings mostly in my experience. What are your thoughts on bodybuilders saying steroids only help 5%? Yeah, that's insane. Only 5%. All right. No, I've not been donating blood lately. Are weightlifting shoes required advantageous for performing the clean and jerk? Okay, Malik, to my knowledge, but I am not an Olympic lifting coach. What? All right. Can we skip out assistance work in favor of more accessory work? For example, bench lockout fail instead of floor, or pause bench replaced with more tricep work? Yeah. No, you can skip assistance work if you don't want to do assistance work and just hypertrophy the weak muscles, and that will also work, right? You can absolutely do that. Yeah. So exactly, if you're struggling with the bench lockout, you could just do more tricep work. Absolutely. Is it true that chin ups build bigger arms than bicep curls? I think they're about equal. Uh, Thank you, coach. Appreciate the actual work on getting tighter on my bench setup. All right, cool. Bodybuilders are obsessed with time under tension, but they will be the first to swing and bounce the weights fast as hell with no evidence for time under tension being true. Yep. Is sandbag conditioning good? It seems to be. What is going on today? We need to get the likes up, Jason. Tell them to hit the like button. Yeah, you guys hit the like button. That's what gets this in the feed better. People reach down and like. Hit that like button. Right? That's what gets the views later, the engagements. It feeds the algorithm. Right? In fact, you guys should all go to my Facebook right now and like every post I made today. Go do that. I would appreciate it. All right. Would you recommend box squats for max effort work or mainly just for dynamic work? Both. I've never played Diablo before. I know you live in the UK, but besides that, have you visited anywhere else other than Texas? Yeah, I lived in New Mexico as a teenager for a while, for 3 years, from 14 to 17. I've obviously visited a lot of other places. I mean, I've traveled. But as far as living, I've only lived meaning spent more than 1 month. More than 1 month. Right? Just in 3 places: Texas, New Mexico, and UK. What would you say is better for nutrition? I'm thinking of cutting out my microwave egg fried rice and having sweet potatoes for carbs. I think this would be a better option. What's wrong with white potatoes? Would long head of bicep be understimulated in pull-ups rows like the long head of triceps understimulated in bench press? Not necessarily. Why Michael Hearn lying about the natural? He just has. He's chosen to go that route for decades. Heard you say in yesterday's live that you don't recommend internet and if fast. I don't, Malik. I'm not sure what you're saying. Yeah, you have to retype that one, brother. I have a friend. Yeah, never mind. Have you been to Montana? I have family in Montana. But I have never been. Paul, Jason, hope you're well. My nephew, 14, wants to get on a lifting program. I started him on Strong List or Ice Cream Fitness. He wrestles. If he has the food and the recovery for ICF, you could put him on that. If he doesn't, then Strong List might be better. Do you ever get acid reflux? No. Jason, would you recommend refraining from dairy in the UK? On my trip, noticed Germany, the milk gave me gas. Their milk, not dairy in general. The yogurt's fine. It's just the milk definitely tore my stomach up there. At what phase will you go back to training your squat seriously again? I might soon, actually. Any tasty idea how to season cooked vegetables with whatever you like? Can you grow your hair out for the fans? Probably not. First of all, my hair is thinning. Number 2, my psoriasis is really, really bad if I grow it out. Like, it's not worth it. It's not going to be, it would not be worth it to me in any way to even try. The reason I started shaving it originally was due to the psoriasis. But I mean, I'm at a point in my life where it's thinned considerably, right? It's thinned considerably. So I don't think I would have a full head of hair if I tried to grow it out. but the areas where it will grow out, my psoriasis would just get bad. So reason I keep this beard this short. And even then that requires work with my psoriasis. Jason, what's your favorite home cooked meal for making gains? Chicken and rice. Have you ever heard about no? I mean, here's the problem with the vertical diet. I've messed with it. There's too much fat in it. I gain fat way too easy on it. Vertical diet would be great if you took out all the dietary fat in it and replaced it with lean proteins. Is there anything you would change about Ice Cream Fitness 2.0? I'd probably add a little bit of other stuff to it, maybe. I don't know. I think it's fine though, still for novices, how it is. People are successfully running it. And the biggest problem I do see is novices trying to do too much work. I've got a client right now who had stalled running a bunch of novice stuff he got from another YouTuber. He completely stalled. I cut him down to about a third of the total sets per week he was doing, and I've had him making consistent gains since. I also deal with psoriasis. That is a long beard. I have to be fully shaven or it will come back. Trevor, why would I care, and why would you bring that up? I'm probably going to ban you for even bringing that up. Come on. Like, that doesn't need to be in here. You seemed like a good poster up until that point. I don't know why you decided to do that. Jason, have you ever used Chat GPT? It writes you better programs than many fitness YouTubers know. Why bodybuilders are better than powerlifters that are not that athletic? Not been my experience. I mean, there's both categories of both. I have found personally more powerlifters who are athletic than I have bodybuilders. Not to say that there are not both types in each group, because there are. Is it better to train with a longer pause on bench press than you would expect in conditions for training reps, such as adding an extra second or two? Sometimes. Thoughts on strength training twice a week, list for recovery and all-day sprints twice a week? I mean, if you wanted to do extreme minimalism, you could. It's not going to be optimal. But you could make progress doing that, right? You can make progress doing that. Eddie Hall claims that 10-day breaks between deadlift sessions is the most optimal time for recovery. Thoughts? I think that's just a random number that he came up with. What stuff do you think Michael Hearn takes a look in his 30s while being almost 55? There's definitely some plastic surgery and stuff there, but obviously, growth hormone test, all that stuff's in there. And I don't know what other compounds he uses, to be honest. All right. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys not to address the questions, or I'm going to need to ban you also. Okay. I've told you guys that at the start of every video. So please remove your own ones or I will ban you. What percentage and parameters do you run your current program? Might give it a go. All of my programming is there for you. I blog all my workouts. You can see what I do every single week. Okay. Why some women at the gym hip thrust 4 plates but squat a plate for a couple reps? I don't know. You tell me. Some women are just really strong at the hip thrust. But the thing is, if they're doing 4 plates per side on a hip thrust, there's no way they can only squat one plate. They're probably literally not trying. They're literally just scared to load the bar at that point. So, all right. What else do we have here? Can we get some more training questions instead of nonsense that I'm going to just delete? Would you recommend the workout you do for an intermediate? What I do? Probably not. They probably need to be a little less intense than what I'm doing. But they could do that as a kind of a basis. They do that as a basis. Oh, sorry, reversing my question. My mistake. I mean, why are powerlifters athletic but bodybuilders lose their athletic? The cutting they have to do for contest destroys conditioning, it destroys endurance, it destroys strength, everything. It makes them literally out of shape, even though they call it in shape. It's really a bizarre thing. What's the wackiest program a client has been on prior to you coaching them? Oh gosh, I'm not even sure. I mean, I've definitely seen some crazy stuff. I've seen some crazy stuff. I've seen stuff where guys were doing 25, 30 sets per muscle group. I mean, that's definitely up there. How can I have a strong grip with small hands? Yeah. Train your grip. I mean, it's that simple. Do you ever use isometrics in your training? No, personally, I don't. How do you choose the foot stance distance toe forward for conventional deadlift? Is narrower always better? Deadlift, it's narrower is going to tend to be better. It's going to tend to be better, but not always. You're going to have to play around with it and see where your best bar speeds are. In your current program, are you still utilizing GPP? No, and I'm not doing much GPP at all, to be honest. It's just the lifting, you know. It's just the lifting. Because I'm at a point where I'm focused on just gaining muscle at this point, gaining muscle and strength. And even then, with this heat, I'm struggling to get enough carbohydrates in right now. I mean, I'm on over 4,000 calories a day and losing fat at this point. All right. Hi, Coach. I've been having some crazy sciatic nerve tightness pain for the past few weeks. Can't find good information online about this. Have you seen the lifters push through? You're going to have to keep looking. I'm not going to be able to give you advice on something like that just through a Q&A. And I don't know that I would have a solution for your problem, even in a paid consultation. Like, I wouldn't be able to guarantee that. Yeah, Miko, there's always weirdos in here. It's normal. Marco, just re-ask the question if it gets skipped. Is competing in powerlifting anti-athletic because one has to cut weight to make weight? You only cut weight for one day, though. You're not dieting for 20 weeks into it, so it's completely different. And not everyone does big weight cuts. Yep, I'm here to learn and get brutally strong. Miko, most people are. Most people are. The regular followers who watch the videos and engage and even hire me as a coach. That's why they're here. Is there even any point in doing hip thrusts? I think there were a recent study where both squats and hip thrusts cause same glute hypertrophy. No, I think they're still useful as an accessory exercise. They're a good exercise. They're probably still easier to recover from than a back squat. So they definitely have a role. I just don't think everyone needs to do them. I've heard that your GPP conditioning should be at its best and most frequent when you're bulking as opposed to cutting. I've made videos saying that. So you've probably heard it on my channel. Do you think girls like a guy who's 200 pounds and strong over 150 pounds a week? Not all women like the same thing. Eternal pain. That's the thing. When you say girls, well, you know, Who knows? Because guess what? There are billions of women in the world. There are billions of women in the world, and they like different things. I think a 200-pound guy who is strong and fit is probably going to do slightly better, all other factors being equal. But, again, what does the 150-pound guy have going for him? He might have some stuff really going for him. Okay, you're attracting women is not just a single dynamic, unless you're a billionaire. Like you're a billionaire, that'll obviously work by itself. That'll attract tons of women, but outside of something extreme like that, it's women are usually going to look at kind of the total package going on. So you can't narrow it down to just one thing. If I just achieve this, unless it's to be really, really, really rich, it's never going to be like that. And keep in mind, every woman likes different things, just like guys like different things, right? Does sauna have a place for recovery or just a fad? Maybe. Falls into a maybe. Jason, will you start bulking anytime soon? If no, why not? No, because I don't want to be too far above my weight class. I want to stay relatively close to 220, so I can't really afford to bulk. The thoughts on the Hetfield, why do people always bring that up? That was so controversial, and there's been arguments as to whether Tom Platz's squats were legit. For that stamina test, he also wore a suit. I mean, it's not a valid comparison. And why people still reference that one event that probably happened before they were even born is beyond me. I don't know why that gets brought up so much. Right? There's still articles written on that to this day. It's quite bizarre, especially considering that that the validity of Tom Platz's squats in that thing have been heavily questioned by coaches at all. And again, it wasn't even a raw squat. It was in a squat suit. Jason, do you think that hyperplasia is good for building strength? How are you going to achieve hyperplasia? What drugs are you going to inject in your body to achieve hyperplasia? So what do you mean? You're not going to do it from training. Training doesn't cause hyperplasia in humans, any type of training, according to the research. So you might want to clarify, like, are you going to inject a metric fuck ton of IGF-1? What are you doing? Coach, I'm going to start in bodybuilding, but I don't have the money or high dose of steroids because I'm 18 years old. Do you think I'll have to do G4P? Yeah, you might have to. Again, that's why I recommend maybe you not get into bodybuilding. Most girls care about how bulky your wallet is. A lot of them do. I mean, financial security is a very attractive trait. Not saying that's the only thing that matters. It's not, obviously, but all other factors being equal, women like it if you can take care of them. Jason, what's your favorite holiday? I don't know. Antonio, what are your thoughts on Brian Johnson trying to reverse aging? My thoughts are, I know the name Brian and I know the name Johnson. They're both very common first and last names. That's all I know about Brian Johnson. Sorry about my first message. I was doing text-to-speech and it came out weird. All good, brother. To most women, 6 foot thin guy is more attractive than a stocky 5'9" guy. What does Louis Simmons say is an ideal weight class for someone your height? Probably my height, probably 242. Maybe even the 275. Jason, I get a dulling pain in my left elbow that extends down my arm after benching and squatting. It's frustrating because it happens as soon as I start progressing into heavy weights. You're going to have to work on your grip and bar position on your squat. It's your squat causing it. That's the way you're. Hey, coach, as we age, should people with naturally tight ankles be concerned with tearing their Achilles tendon, assuming they train and live a healthy lifestyle? Probably not. Do you think bodybuilders consider athletes because they're very athletic looking at them? Well, it's going to depend. Really depends on the bodybuilder. There are definitely bodybuilders who I would consider athletes, and there are bodybuilders who really aren't. I don't know. At this point, I feel like it's just an argument of semantics. It's one of those that I've had opinions on in the past, and to be honest, I don't even think it's worth addressing. I really don't. It's going to be tricky to stay at the weight you're at when you did the 315 for 8. I thought you'd have the 405 by now. No, it's going to be doable. I just have to keep gaining muscle. Wiki, you're over here talking about using fentanyl. Dude, you need to go. Sorry, man. I'm not going to have you promoting using fentanyl in my stream. No, you're gone. In my opinion, curls are useless for beginner and early intermediate. Most upper back work already suffice it. Yeah, I think for most novices, they really aren't that useful. Seriously, why do people expect you to know who fringe fitness gurus like Brian Johnson are? Are they mad weird? People are mad weird to you. Thanks for being here. Oh, man. All good, brother. Bro, you don't need to be bringing that stuff up in my thing. That was so many years ago. And bye. All right. Well, I'm out here, stuff to do. Yep. Take care, Lacey. If I'm running an upper lower split, is it beneficial to repeat the upper session and do it twice per week, or should I have 2 different sessions? It depends on what's going on with your programming, right? I mean, you can sometimes run the same one. What are you doing with your programming? It's really what it comes down to. Coach, I'm obsessed over my first girlfriend from Perch Camp years ago. How do I get revenge on the people that wronged me? You know what, man? I'm gonna give you a little bit of life advice. You went to church camp, right? I assume you're a Christian. Maybe you shouldn't be trying to get revenge on people. Just saying. Jason, I'm 73 years old. Do you think a 500-pound 400 max deadlift is a good idea at my age? I mean, if you can get there, that's a hell of a goal. That is one hell of a goal. And if you can get there, then nothing but respect to you, brother. Nothing but respect. But it's something to strive towards. Jason, do you think NFL players have better muscle building genes than IFBB bodybuilders that never actualize them to some extent because they're $1 million contracts, team. All right. The NFL in America is probably the biggest pool of gifted genetic athletes on the face of the earth. Okay. That's it. The NFL, technically, due to the money involved and the level of competition, that is your genetic elite as far as sports and athleticism go. That's it. That's the cream of the crop. If any other sport out there, like world level sports, started paying more than the NFL, America would probably win everything at that point because the NFL players would all go over to that. But as of now, that is where the entirety of our top athletic across the board genes go in the US. They go to the NFL. So just across the board, they're probably more gifted in a lot of ways than bodybuilders. Plus, they're like bodybuilders are all short. So considering that they're all bigger with bigger frames than bodybuilders, their muscle building potential would be higher also. Okay, but they won't look like the bodybuilders because they're not 5'7". Okay, there are no tall Mr. Olympias. I don't even think the ones that claim 5'9" and 5'10" are actually that tall because I've met some of them in person. I don't think that's even true. I don't think they're even that tall. I'm not going to cover why I'm not doing OMEDE right now. Jason, where on your hands is it best to grip for the bar on the deadlift? Lowers in the fingers or higher up? No, it needs to be in the fingers. Wrapped around tight though. No, right here. Right there. Hello, Coach. Glad to see you doing lives again. I've been doing them every day for well over a week now. Coach, I have worked on my grip position, but the pain persists. My right elbow feels great, but it's only the left one. Okay, it's still going to be the way you're gripping it. What with belts should a 5'10" guy get? Standard power belt. I don't think it matters. Just get a good belt. Okay, I like the Ends Are Forever belts. I have 2 of them. Five nine's not considered, dude. 5'9's not considered short anywhere. Maybe people who lie and claim 5'9" who are 5'6". It's actually average height in America, and in some places it's above average height. Jason, would you rather fight 10 duck-sized lions or 1 lion-sized duck? I don't want to fight 10 feral cats of any type. So I'm going to go with the lion-sized duck. It would probably be easier to break its neck if you had to in a fight. Just because of again, the laws of physics involving the levers there. Excellent point, regard. Jason, I'm 6'3", and I met Ronnie Coleman in person shortly before he ended up in a wheelchair, and he was below my shoulder height. He looked way taller. I've met Ronnie Coleman also. I don't think he was actually 5'10". Hey, Nathan, you need to quit addressing it. Last warning. If NFL upper body strength athleticism is the best, you think they do better on the bench combine? On squats, should my upper body be kept as tight as possible? Yes. I think the belt hurt my ribs during squats at some point. Is it due to having the belt too tight? Yeah, you shouldn't have the belt tight. 5'9" is only short in the Netherlands. Yeah, exactly. Because everyone's, like you said, they're 6 foot tall there. As a tall guy myself, 5'9" should be fine for almost all of them. And plenty of 5'9" guys kick my ass in BJJ. Is it okay to do IF on a bulk if calories and protein are equated on my load? Yeah, you're still going to, the actual fasting part may be a problem. Nathan, as a general rule, no, they don't. The ones who I'm aware of, they are generally non-lifters, and they're not really doing anything in life. I mean, it should be obvious. If you're going to sit around trolling people on the internet, you're probably not doing anything important. Do you think Mike Tyson is the most impressive athlete ever? I don't know that I would say the most impressive ever, but would I say that he is definitely one of the most impressive athletes? Yeah, oh, absolutely. Again, very gifted athlete, probably rare sets of genetic traits all intertwined into one person, and the dude was a straight savage, you know. Definitely, he's definitely in the top 10 anyway you break it down. Jason, if you were responsible for Mike Tyson's strength training during his prime, do you think you'd made him even deadlier? I don't know about that, to be fair. I don't know that I would have been able to. Jason, what are your thoughts on high sodium intake to improve performance? Really, it's going to depend on the person. It's going to depend on how you respond to things, what your aldosterone levels are like, what your blood pressure is like in relation to sodium. For me, it's a problem. Jason, do you think drinking 3 gallons of milk a day is a good idea for size gains? No, I think it's insane. I think that's dangerous and stupid. The average bench press, I don't need to cover all that. What are your thoughts on low volume training to failure for hypertrophy? I'm not going to be a fan of low volume. I think you should optimize your volume. I don't think you need to train to failure. I think stopping a rep short or just at 0 reps in reserve gives all the gains of going to failure. Going beyond failure with other stuff doesn't improve gains. It just beats you up. For people saying that size and strength doesn't matter in a fight, they do not even acknowledge Mike Tyson. He was jacked. I have a good point, Marco. I mean, what did Mike Tyson weigh? What was his weight, height, and body fat? People are going to tell me that that didn't contribute to his power. The guy was jacked. And if he walked around at 150 pounds, does anyone think that he would have been hitting as hard? Of course not. No sane person thinks that. But the people who say size and strength doesn't matter aren't sane. They're delusional. Right? Right? Okay. IF is still that, yeah, dude. An 8-hour feed window, you're still potentially compromising a little bit of muscle growth. So why are you fasting? Okay, why are you fasting if you're trying to gain muscle? People are only doing IF for fat loss protocols to control appetite for that. That's really kind of where the benefit is. What food could I eat to kill my appetite? That's a nuanced question. It's going to depend on you as a person. It's going to depend on you as a person. Jason, if you could coach any celebrity / athlete, who would it be? Hugh Jackman for Wolverine. I'd coach him. That's what I want to do. Radko, I'm not even going to address that. I don't think that's how we count reps. I don't think there's any problem with counting reps the normal way. Is it okay to squat primarily high bar if I'm not a competitive powerlifter and just train for general strength? Feels more comfortable. I think for most people, the wide stance is going to be better. Jason, do you agree with Mark Ripto's approach to training, or do you think he is? I think he's a little too minimalist. I don't think it's a bad start for his intended audience, novices. What does Ripto tell you over and 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 over? Who does he give advice to? His words, not mine. Novices. So if you take what he says as truth and you believe Mark Ripto that his intended audience is novices, okay, and that he's not lying about that he is being honest when he tells you that repeatedly 1,000,000 times. If you believe him that is truly who he is talking to, then his advice is good. If you think he's lying and that he's trying to give advice to people who are not novices secretly and just lying about it, then his advice is too minimalist. Is that fair? So if you believe that he's an honest person in his intent, then his advice is good. Now, again, if you have a conspiracy theory that he's secretly trying to give that information to people who are advanced lifters and just doesn't want us to know about it, then okay, maybe we got a problem. Sorry, it's also the funny in there. All right. What if we have a very high appetite or trying to control fat gain on a bulk by doing IF? Why don't you adjust what you're eating then? All right. Adjust what you're eating. Drink more water, add more fiber, add more vegetables. Cut your dietary fat down. I just realized I've been in here 48 minutes. Sorry, there's just a couple funny questions up in there. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. I'll probably do one of these tomorrow also. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals, and I will talk to you next time.